Hi, and welcome back. So today we're going to just go over what is Monitor, and I call this Monitor Workflow. So what is the business problems here? Uh, One of the biggest problems that business has seen is that through the development cycle, in these agile developments, one thing that's happened is that the business rules and business processes have been encapsulated in code. And this has caused a great problem for business, as business now do not have the ability to see that workflow and to see the rules. So this has been a very big problem for business, and this has meant that IT is driving how the business is orchestrated. It's not a business-driven activity. Also, building software through large dependencies is made it a very hard and difficult process. So it means that changing technology and future-proofing your system has become very hard. And also another major issue is how to use human capital in process. So one problem is teaching humans processes rather than driving them through processes. So these are some of the very, very big problems which have been identified in the market. So the solution is to build an orchestration-based approach to business and development. So what does that mean? So first of all, why has this been done? So we can see the companies 24 Hour Fitness, Goldman Sachs, Capital One, NatWest, Social General, they're all moving to this approach of using orchestration to control how their operations work and how the business drives their systems. So how does it all work? So in Monitor, we have a series of project management tools. First is your workflow modeler, which is your ability to model. And when we talk about modeling, it's not just a diagram. It's a diagram that's executable and controls how information is flowing from person to person, from system to system. So we have our workflow modeler, we have our data modeler, being able to create not just a simple data model, but really trying to build an ontology of your business, of your industry, to represent the information there. A decision modeler, so being able to make smart decisions through decision tables, if then, and artificial intelligence. We have our microservices, which is the ability to call and fetch on functionality, screen forms, and be able to make screens based on what customers need, what your internal services need in better communications, calling, SMS, WhatsApp, and all these other communication networks. Tasks, the ability to create tasks through a workflow that dictate how workflows happen and how people interact with the system. And on our continual improvement, we have the heat map's ability to not only just see a workflow, but to see the effectiveness of that workflow. We got our AI modules, the ability to learn, observe, and improve automatically without the human needing to interaction. And we have our optimization and our business intelligence, being able to use KPIs and other metrics to be able to continually improve this system. And this is all in the design time. So designing how your application, how your systems, how your people interact with the application. So in the real time, we have the form interaction, our task interaction, our process. So this is what the users are dealing with every day. We have our workflow engine, which is orchestrating the communication between all these items, calling on the microservices, the data engine that it needs, and obviously the intelligence engines, which is your business intelligence, your artificial intelligence, making rapid and smart decisions. So this is Monitor. And this is really the heart, the workflow engine. And this workflow engine just allows for a simple clicking of options. You have many different types of options here. In this very simple diagram, you're able to create a human task, a service process, parallel decisions, or decisions and decisions to be able to split and cause multiple actions. And just by simply clicking on the nodes and dragging and dropping, you're able to create a diagram. But not only that, you're able to interact with the properties and select what microservices you want to use or communications you want to use. You can data bound it to your model, or you can have it undata bounded. So an example, like a support ticket, you might not want data bounded, you just want that information to flow through. And that might go through a series of steps, working out the priority of a support ticket, who it should be allocated, how long you want to do that, when you want to escalate. And this is all done from the orchestration section here. And now, you're running your system, and the second part is seeing your system in action. So in here you can visualize where information is going, what people are working on. So in this case we can see that there's a message being sent, ZZZ, and there's a message being received, XXX. I got that the wrong way around. But you can see where the progress is, and you can see there's a timer and what happened and when it happened, so you can track back and analyze and optimize your workflow. So, what kind of components do we have in here? It's great to show you a workflow, but we have services, internal communication. So inbuilt to the system, we have a phone system, SMS, email, all these kind of standard things which you need for your day-to-day processing. And these are already inbuilt to the system. Now we have our external services, our microservices, which allows you to call on any API with the API developer. So all you need to do is connect, and then you're able to use extensive services. So if you think, you need to build some kind of calculation or something that works in a specific way, boom, you can create a microservice. And if it's very small, you can do this in JavaScript and embed it into the workflow. Decisioning. This is decision tables. So that's a collection of tables with the conditions and the results of the condition, a standard if-then style of decisioning, or we even have artificial intelligence, which we'll get into later. Events, receive and sending events. So this is the ability to hook in and bind messages to send and receive. So if you have something which takes time, it's waiting for an event. So if you need to process a document, and this document might take a few days or something like that, but once it's finished, it sends back an event that says this is finished and now we can continue. Sub-process, and then there's a whole bunch of others. There's timers, condition, escalation, call processes, and all these together can pretty much, it empowers you to do so much more. And let's talk about the task-driven. So the process-driven is a microservice architecture, but the human aspect is a task-driven aspect. So think about if you have a salesperson. Your salesperson has to learn the CRM, they have to learn the leads, they have to know how to filter, who to do what, when, all these activities. In this system, we take a different approach. You create the process so your salespeople don't need to learn one. You tell them what they need to do. You tell them what stage they need to do, what they need to do. So this is being task-driven, driving them so they don't need to think about what they need to do next. They're just preparing based on what you have modeled what they do next. And the beauty of this is they don't learn a process, which means if you change the process, they don't need to be aware of it. They don't need to relearn it. They don't have to resist it. They don't have to fight with you. This is all done in a single platform because you're orchestrating how your business runs. You are the architect of your business. And the next is the microservices, which is incredibly important. So here we built an engine where you just need to simply drag and drop a JSON file, just a JSON file based on Open API. Boom, drag and drop, and your API is set up. Now you need to do some mapping. What fields you want people to input, and then you can connect it within the workflow. For example, if I want to send an SMS, I can put in an SMS API here. Now this becomes a service component. The service component can be used, and all I need to do is map the inputs. So if you have an earlier support ticket and we have the person's name, this information now can flow into this API, into its input, to be able to deliver that message. And that's one of the powers of this system, is that here no code's required, just a simple drag and drop, and boom, we're set up. Just need to configure a little bit what the user inputs, what we feed from the existing data sources, and then we can make SMS calls. And what about the intelligence? So in Monyta, we're really looking at future proofing about what is happening. So we're looking at two types of artificial intelligence, major components. The first one is decision logic. So this is called an observer architecture. So we observe decisions that are made within the application. So let's say it's a priority high, medium, low priority. We're observing how that logic is working. So you might have a very standard rule set with information coming in, and we observe it, and we have inputs. The inputs to the observer can be different to the inputs to the decision. And then we have our output as a result. So we measure the success of that result. Building this observer means that we can learn the logic. So initially we have a human created logic, but over time, as things change, as we have different inputs, we can actually create a smarter output. We can create smarter results. So once the model is meeting a certain level, it can overtake the human created model and be replaced with an AI model, which is continually learning, experimenting with a greedy method, and making right decisions. And the next AI we have is episodic. So when you have a series of path choices over time, you have a level of complexity. So if you have a choice of the type of information or what is relevant, the observer will look at the paths, and then we measure the result. And this is episodic because we are optimizing the path choice. So something which might seem bad at the very first stage might actually lead to a very good result later on. And that's what we're optimizing using this episodic observer result capture and reinforcement learning. So what are the benefits? So first of all, business is controlling this orchestration and rules. You have 100% insight into how the system is working. You can see the functionality, you can see the processing, you can see the rules. So now as a business, you have the ability to do what you should be doing, which is architecting how your business is running and observing and optimizing, tweaking and changing. So this gives the full control for business to do what they need to achieve. And you have the ability to visualize, which has been very hard. So visualize how your system works, how your system is going to work, and obviously visualize the future based on what you're getting back from your analysis. So you can really drive in to look at the performance, how long things took, and really go back to a continual improvement process. So the difference between waiting 1 day or 2 days for contacting a customer could mean the difference between a very different price range, a very different result. So this is allowing you to feedback and driving performance via process, allowing humans to optimize on their core skills. So going back to the example, underwriter, a salesperson, do you want them to learn every process in your CRM or whatever process? Like, do you want them to learn the process, or do you want them to do their job? And I mean, do you want them on the phone? Do you want them contacting the right person? Do you want them, doing the background information and the email? So get them utilizing their core skills. But do you want them to be thinking about, who do I need to contact today? Who do I need to follow up today? Who do I need to talk to in terms of an application? Or these other side distractions from their business. This is not what you're paying them for. You're paying them to deliver the result and capitalize on their core skills without needing to learn all the systems. And when people learn a system, they get attached to a system, making change management very, very hard. So here we want to optimize to make sure that that's not occurring. And performance and continual improvement. So analyzing, feeding back, talking to stakeholders, and improving. So from product, you build by contract. So what I'm meaning here is that now we have a workflow. We can look at how the data is flowing through. We're not pulling data from necessarily a database or any other system. We're just looking at how data starts from a start point and gets to the end point, and how that information feeds in to a process. So suddenly we don't need to worry too much about what other systems exist or other code exists. We just need to worry about the resulting code that's being fed into our functionality. Creating microservices means that we specialize our code and making very smaller modules, but we have more time to perfect them. So we're creating high quality micro components that serve a single purpose, which will get reused by other systems. So focusing on code complexity rather than process organization. So managing process in code is extremely hard. It's state management, it's creating state tables, it's creating a whole bunch of if-thens and callbacks and timers and things like that. This is not great for code. It's not something easy to model. And maybe once it's been modeled once and not so hard the first time, it's even harder to change. So these are things that we want to take away from the developer and put in the orchestration control. So the developer can focus on building code and not building a whole bunch of workflow information. And ultimately, ability to scale and be flexible. So here we don't have any constraints. It's a software as a service, so we're able to scale as your business scales. There's no need to pay to get extra servers or anything like that. It's just available. And what are the benefits of the platform? It's built on open standards, so you can immigrate in and out. You're not dependent on this solution. We are one of the platforms which is not trying to lock you in. We're trying to get you in because it's a quality product and stay in because it's a quality product. But if you outgrow or you have some special needs, then okay, you can migrate out. You're not fixed with our platform, and our open standards, Open API and BPMN. It's extremely flexible, so you're never, one model doesn't fit all. So here we're not building like a CRM or other tools which dictate order. We're giving you the ability to design and create order, and we're going to help by creating industry models and other general models to get you started from day one. So you're not completely locked, completely helpless, but you have the freedom to choose your decision, your direction. There's inbuilt core functionality, so boom, you can get straight away. You can create your standard content, your human tasks, everything, calling and things like that. So you're there and you're ready to go. And as I like to say, it's got ultimate complexity. The complexity is so great, but it's so easy to use. Yes, it's going to take time to learn how to do a strong orchestration, but once you've learned that, you are in control of how information is. So that is Monyta, and that's what the application does. So who am I reaching for? Right now, I'm really looking for businesses that want to contribute to their industries. And what I mean is help model a solution for your industry. So we can outreach, we can create these models that you can use and also be available for other people. So that gives you the underlining way of how you do things, but it gives you the ability to customize your business in your way. Integration partners through Open API who want to contribute, who want to provide the JSON files and become part of the core system and the underlining release, and any other contribution. Right now we're growing and we're at early stages here and really looking for resources or people that have ideas or any directions about how you can contribute. And that's it. So thank you for your time. So that's a little bit about Monyta. It's still in production, but early stages. We're refining a lot of features and moving forwards very quickly. And this approach is just going to build you a very strong foundation for your systems and your tools for the future. All right. Thank you for your time.